With a run-down and overgrown property that was once for sale, now ours, it's time to get to work. This land is sort of a blank canvas with so much potential for my son and I. With the thick bedding cover and abundance of water sources already present, the sky's the limit once we add food and give the wildlife the security they need. It is now time to turn this 300 acres into a land manager and diehard hunter's dream. Well, if you tuned in to the last episode of the off-season, you saw Austin and I touring a piece of property that was for sale and weighing the positives and negatives of buying the land. After thinking things over, we decided to put in an offer and it was accepted. The 335 acres is now ours and it's time to get to work. The first area we knew we needed to focus on was fixing the road system. When we bought the land, the roads were there, but they weren't big enough to allow us to bring in larger equipment like tractors. In order to get this property off on the right foot, we dropped off the dozer and got to work.
Well, we're out here in this new tractor property today, and one of the things that we like to take care of first when we get a new property is establishing a good infrastructure. Even before we get out there and post our borders or put up gates, whatever. Because as narrow as the roads are right now, we can't get any implements in here to do any food plotting, to do anything. So Dad's in the dozer right now, widening the roads. We're draining water off the roads. It's super wet over here, but like I said, we have some areas mapped out where we want to do some food plots. We have a big stand of timber behind me. We would like to get a log company in there, take some logs out, but it's not possible right now with how the infrastructure is. So we want to establish a good road system so it's not only easy for us to get in here during the hunting season, quicker, quieter, easily to get our implements in, but also for the log companies getting in and out of here. But there's a lot of work to do in this new piece of property, a lot of garbage laying everywhere. We got to clean up from years of people littering, but we got to start somewhere.
Once the roads were cleaned up and widened, it was now time to secure the borders. From our initial walk through the property, we could tell people were using this land pretty often. And in order to improve the wildlife population, we knew we needed to close off all the access points to alleviate the pressure. We knew that some entrances already had gates that just needed fixed and others needed brand new gates. After a full day of drilling holes and installing gates, the property was officially closed off and secure. It's now time to get to work laying out food plots and bedding areas. So it's been a few months since we've been able to close on this new piece of property we picked up. We were able to get over here, pick up some of the garbage that was left by the previous owners, and we actually brought the dozer in to open up a little bit of the road work that we had in here, clean up the infrastructure a little bit so we're able to bring in some of the equipment we need to put some food plots in. And now we're to the point where the fun starts. The section that we picked to really go in here and prioritize to try and get a food plot in for this fall to actually maybe hunt over and observe the deer is about 7 acres. We're going to go in, leave a buffer all the way around it, and leave a few strips in the center where there was an old tram road or a logging road in there where the deer are already showing activity. I can see old scrapes and rubs in there. Most of the timber in here is probably of the 5 to 6 inch caliber, which is no value now, and really for the life that we're going to have the property, not going to give us any timber value. So we're going to take that area and create it into the food plot that is just adjacent to a nice bedding area on top of the hill. We have water at the bottom, and this section to the right of us we're going to leave untouched. It is super thick. There's grapevines all through it. We have some brush in there. We're going to let that go and just continue to have that bedding. So we sort of staged this. We have a nice oak ridge above us, down to a nice bedding area, moving over a couple hundred yards into this food plot, and I think it's going to work out great. So as you can see behind me, this is where the part of the hillside that they took the topsoil off and they stripped the coal off here. They've replanted some locust trees and some pine trees. This has been done probably at least 20 years ago. You can see how poor the soil is here because these trees aren't very big in that amount of time. Where just above us here, this benched off and they went ahead and clear cut this piece at the same time they cut this. And you can see the type of trees we have regrowth in here, which tells me they did not take the topsoil off of this piece. And we did verify that going in with pick and shovel, checking to see we had topsoil throughout the entire area we're going to be clearing here. So it's just a matter of getting in there now, marking it off, and get the dozer in there and creating our plot. What we need to do as a team here is try and keep about 30 yards from the edge of this field. And we want to leave all these saplings down around this way for some edge cover, and then again to come back later on and thin out and save some of the oaks in here. So we use the ribbons to mark, so when we get in here with a dozer, we can see how close we want to come. But when I start out here, I'll need you to be over here and tell me, just keep that distance. So we'll just start.
Like Dad mentioned out there, a lot of the timber in here is super small and really gotta have no value to us for a super long time. This beech tree is probably one of the biggest trees in here, so we're gonna mark this and leave it there for a potential stand site in the edge of this food plot that we're gonna put in.
So you can see this old brushy road through here. It's got a heavy deer trail on it already. So we're gonna stay off of this by at least 20 yards on that side and 20 yards on this side of it. Once we have the food plot put over here, it's gonna be a great place for those deer to skirt the edge of this food plot and hopefully provide us a couple stand locations. We're gonna look for some larger trees. I know there was a hemlock or so left along the edge down here. But again, this could be a site where we're using ground blinds in here. If we get them early enough and leave some cover in here, these would be ground blind attacks. This is bigger than we think.
Yeah.
This is gonna be great. There's a lot of these white oaks in here that we're gonna wanna try and protect along the edge. If they're in interior where we need to put the plot, we're gonna take them out. But if they're along the edge like this, we'll just remove all
them up around the edges and
take all the competition away from them and open up the canopies. And in a few years, we should have some good oaks in here. With the trees marked with ribbon and paint, we brought the dozer in once again to clear out this new food plot. We are being extra careful when we are removing these smaller trees and cleaning out this area to make sure we keep as much topsoil in place as possible. This will benefit our food plots in the long run and help us to produce high quality forage for our wildlife year round. Like I said, this side of the property is setting up perfect. With the water, thick cover, and now this large destination food plot, the sky is the limit. As soon as we got these areas cleared, we ordered several tons of lime to spread on these new food plots to help the pH of the soil. Each time we start a new food plot like this, we always go heavy with the lime and fertilizer the first year to give the soil a boost and give us a baseline for when we take soil samples down the road. A lot of time your local mill or feed store will be more than happy to deliver and spread your lime, so I encourage you guys to reach out and see if this is an option in your area. With the ground cleared and covered in lime, it's time to bring in the tractors and the implements and go full steam ahead on food plots. While clearing out our main destination food sources, we also cleared a few smaller roadside and power line plots that will help maintain enough quality forage for our deer and turkey. Our first step was to disc these plots up and break up the soil as much as possible, as well as even out the plots to make it easier to plant. The lack of rain made this a dusty task, but with an ominous forecast, we needed to get it done. Once the disking was completed, it was time to plant. For first-year food plots like these, we elect to plant clover, oats, wheat, and some brassicas, as these foragers are hardy and can grow just about anywhere. Also, these plants establish a great root system and will help us keep the topsoil in place and fight against erosion. At this point, the hard work is mostly done, besides hanging a few observation tree stands and lots of trail cameras so we can gauge both our turkey and deer populations. It's unlikely that we will hunt these food plots or even this property this hunting season, based off the previous pressure on this area. Our plan is to sit back and give this land time to mature and give the wildlife as much food and security as possible. Austin and I are more than confident that this area will show tremendous results and be one heck of a hunting property. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we hope you were able to learn a few things you might be able to apply to your next property. Once again, thanks for watching another episode of The Off Season.